before I begin, please allow me to offer my condolences to the family and loved ones of Charlie Kirk, the 31-year-old father of two who was mercilessly assassinated yesterday at a university campus for having expressed contrary views. Universities are supposed to be places of debate where differing opinions can be offered and exchanged in peace and security. We must all unite, regardless of our political views, around a simple principle. Political violence is never acceptable. Every person should be free to express their opinion without fear of violence. And speaking about fear of violence, this house here behind me, the owner has spent $100,000 on extra security. Bulletproof windows, camera systems, alarms, electric fencing in certain parts of the home. I won't get too specific because I don't want the bad guys to know exactly where and what he's got. But can you imagine spending $100,000? Do you know before the Liberal government you could buy a house in some parts of Canada for under $100,000? Now that's what it costs to secure your house. Crime is raging out of control. And you heard the stories of the courageous victims behind me today, telling their stories. You know, I find it incredible that Sean Fraser, Minister of Injustice, the man who ruined our entire immigration system before Mr. Carty then promoted him to be responsible for the crime crisis, he said the other day, this is not the Wild West. Really? Has he talked to these victims? A woman who's had to leave the country of her birth to live in another nation because she's afraid of her ex tracking her down? Has he talked to the family of Aleem Farouki, the courageous father who rose in the middle of the night to defend his kids and lost his life in front of those children? The three cowardly scumbags who carried out that attack. I bet you anything they have already been arrested in the past. You know, I had one family member of a crime victim the other day say, Sean Fraser is right. It's not a Wild West. It's a war zone in some of these communities. People in these neighborhoods are terrified. They are genuinely afraid of the crime that is raging in our streets. And these are not just stories. This is not sensationalism. This is data and facts. Here's what the facts say if you believe Statistics Canada. Under the Liberals' catch and release system, extortions are up 330%. Sexual assaults up 76%. Violent crime up 55%. Homicides up 29%. A majority of Canadians told a pollster that they worry a lot or worry sometimes about their own personal safety. A majority of Canadians are now afraid to live in Canada after a decade of these Liberal laws. In Toronto, residential robberies are up 50%. And we see more than 900 armed robberies in the last 2 years. The rate of armed robberies is actually doubling. And the stories are piling up. They are horrendous. We've got the story of James Plover. He was released while awaiting sentencing. 3 hours after his release, he brutally murdered Bailey McCourt, his ex-wife, in a parking lot just 4 kilometers from the courthouse. Daniel Senecal. He had already been convicted of sexually assaulting a 12-year-old boy, and the Liberal justice system released him so that now he's charged with raping a 3-year-old child. This is sick. As a father, I am sickened by these stories and the unnecessary nature of them. All of these crimes were avoidable if the criminals had been kept where they belong, in jail, and not released. And then, of course, we heard from Naeem, his brother Aleem, who is a hero, frankly, a true hero. He did the greatest act of courage that any man could do, defend his family, and he lost his life for it. Again, almost certainly a totally avoidable tragedy. How did this happen? You know, some people say we need bail reform. No, we have bail reform. That's the problem. We have liberal bail reform. It's called C-75. And let's stop blaming the judges. The law is very clear. The Liberals wrote into the law that a judge must release the accused, and I quote, at the earliest opportunity, under the least onerous conditions. At the earliest opportunity, under the least onerous conditions. That is the liberal bail reform. And that is why in the city of Vancouver, they have had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. That means each offender was arrested 150 times in 1 year. And then they get released and they reoffend. Released, reoffend. We've been telling the Liberals that their law is leading to terror in our communities. We've been telling them that for years. And what did Mark Carney do when he became Prime Minister? He shut down Parliament to go on summer vacation, a lot of useless globe-trotting, and he has not changed the law. Imagine if instead of going on summer vacation, he had repealed the Liberal bail reforms last spring. How many assaults, murders, robberies would have happened? Mark Carney, it is time for you to do the right thing and reverse Liberal bail laws that are unleashing terror in our communities. And if you won't do it, we will. That's why Conservatives are here today, to announce ARPAN Canada's bill, the Jail Not Bail Act, to strengthen public safety and rebalance our justice system, to put law-abiding citizens first. It will replace the Liberal principle of restraint. In other words, judges will no longer be required to release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. It will introduce a new major offenses category that requires anyone accused of sexual assault, firearms offenses, kidnapping, human trafficking, home invasion, robbery, extortion, arson, and other serious charges. They will then have the onus on them to prove that it is safe to release them on bail. We will strengthen bail laws by mandating judges also consider the accused full criminal history and prevent anyone with prior major convictions from getting bail. There will be a tough risk assessment system to look into whether or not an offender is likely to offend while out on bail. We will prohibit anyone with an indictable offense from acting as a guarantor for another accused person. This is on top of other conservative laws that we will bring in, like repealing C-75, repealing C-5, the house arrest law, bringing in a 3 strikes you're out law, meaning that anyone who's convicted of 3 prior offenses will automatically be denied bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. We will ban the Bishnoi gang. We will lock up extortionists. We will bring in mandatory jail time for intimate partner violence and other serious offenses. We want to lock up these criminals and throw away the key to keep our communities safe, to reverse the damage the Liberals have done. And we do this not out of hatred for the criminal, but out of love for the victims. We want this to be a safe country again. Everything we as Conservatives do is for one purpose, to restore the promise of Canada, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a nice, affordable home with meat and potatoes on the dinner table every single night, in a safe neighborhood where you go to bed knowing that when your head hits the pillow, you're safe and sound in your beautiful refuge, and where a beautiful Canadian flag hangs from the front porch. That's the promise of Canada. That's the hope of our future. So let's bring together this massive coalition from across the country of police chiefs, of victims, of members of Parliament, of victims advocates who are coming together now and demanding security, demanding that Canada be a safe and secure place, demanding that we put victims first, and that's what Conservatives will do when the parliamentary session returns.